Hello one and all, my name's James Sims and I am the director of the EverLearner and previously the creator of mypeexam.org. And what I want to talk to you about within this session is a concept of the future of the classroom. Now, I kind of realise that a lot of you are tuning into this to think about practical studies in PE and health and fitness and movement. I get it, right? But we have to be honest and say part of what we do right now in the current spectre of education is we work in the classroom, and we're going to illustrate here what we think is the future of that classroom. Very much a contradiction to what is currently being practiced today. Now, before I get onto what looks like this kind of crazy equation here, what I'm going to do is in a few moments time, I'm going to show you the physical image of what we think the classroom should look like and what the future of this is going to look like. And what gives us and me legitimacy to say this? Well, first of all, because I've thought about it a lot and studied and researched and read and planned and practiced and tested and succeeded as well in producing fantastic outcomes through this model. But secondly, because right now, either partially or fully, we have over 3,500 PE classrooms working with us in this model, and that is significant. So let's have a look at this redefining success concept. And we're saying that what we're trying to do is we're trying to say, okay, what leads to success in learning in institutionalized settings? And if you kind of want to at this point, I'd encourage you to pause the tutorial and I'd encourage you to have a good read of the elements on this white page here, because in 5 minutes it's going to be tough to get all that across. So do that. I'm also going to get what we call a card to pop up in your little window if you're watching this on YouTube, just up here. So we're going to get that to pop up here for you as well, and you can go and have a read of this entire document that I've taken this from. So I'm assuming you've had a little read of this and you've paused and you've read and you might agree and you might disagree. And what are we saying here? We're saying success is not based on a concept of academic ability. Success is based on these variables, all of which can be manipulated, for want of a better word, influenced and improved. Let me take you through some highlights before I show you the classroom model. First of all, we're saying that familial involvement is critical. Now, whether parents love their children is outside the control of a teacher, but whether the parent is included in the educational loop that the child is experiencing is not. It's absolutely in the control of the teacher. Behaviors are any behavior which causes deep intuitive learning. We are not talking about behaviors like behavior management here. We are talking about learning behaviors of perseverance, concentration, dedication, self-worth. Resources are resources that are available continuously and resources that produce an insight into intuition, not just in recall and remembering things. Now, of course, if we make all of these very, very strong, we would expect a student to do quite well if we multiply all of that by what we refer to as valuable time. Now, valuable time, as you see here, we consider to be two things. First of all, it's time spent in deep concentration. So if we've got brilliant resources constantly available whenever the learner requires them, and that learner spends significant times in deep concentration with those resources, it's not surprising that we would expect good quality learning to come from that. But we also need to address this point, what we call the mastery deficit. So what we're saying here is if a learner, and I think many of us can equate to this, if a learner has developed a deficit in their mastery of skills as they progress through knowledge, skills, and experiences of course and qualifications, then those gaps in knowledge are going to seriously undermine all of these elements and cannot also completely limit the progress because of the lack of previous mastery. So mastery is a key target in our classroom. So I'm kind of assuming you've had a read of this, and what I'm going to do, or you've gone and had a look at our full 26-page publication as I record this, getting longer. And now what I want to do is I want to show you on that basis what our classroom looks like. And here is our classroom. Again, I'm encouraging you to pause the tutorial and have a read, or again, we'll pop the card up in the window for you and go and have a look at this full publication for more details. But what are we arguing here? Well, we're basically saying that if you look at this classroom over here, there is effectively no teacher space and audience space. There are simply 1, 2, 3, 4 learning zones. They're not separated, there's no barriers, there's no lines on the floor. They're just different areas for different things, and students can move freely between them. Students must, as we have here, and we'll provide you some examples in our publication of target setting sheets, students must have razor sharp, robust targets, but those targets are based on mastering content and mastering skills, mastering behaviors in each of these 4 zones. So let me explain what they are. Over here, as you can see here, this is what we call the terminal space. Students go here to take the EverLearner tutorials, quizzes, assignments and tests. They take self-paced, pedagogical tutorials because that is far more effective than the same teacher at the front of the class who's only available once for each topic area. Over here, this is what we call our QSS, our quiet study space, that classic experience of a classroom, paper-based resources, going through past papers, textbook research, reading, articles, writing. All of those things happen in this space and are clearly indicated as requirements on the target setting sheets for the students. Here, this is what we call the play space over in this area. Students go here to take part in Kagan collaborative structures, to play games, to build, to construct. All of the resources are available on our shelves, just as our paper-based resources are available here for students to gather when they need them. Now, of course, in this particular environment, we have got data coming from here. We have got data coming from here, always produced by the student, never by the teacher, always used for the teacher to intervene where necessary. And that leads us to our fourth space here. This is where the teacher will do any kind of small group teaching. And what we mean by that is, let's say that the student in this chair here is struggling on topic 7. Well, the teacher will work with the student when they're struggling on topic 7 at this point, just on topic 7. And why are they going to do that? They're going to do that because that's the most robust and razor sharp intervention that they can give. Now, I'm going to repeat again. Students move freely through these zones. They complete their targets, every single one, which is based on mastery. But let me tell you this last piece before I sign off. If a student, let's say after a 2-week, let's say target setting is a 2-week period of time. If a student doesn't meet their targets after 2 weeks, we consider that to be what we call choosing not to learn. Let me write that in here for you, choosing not to learn. And in our classroom, there is simply nothing more serious than that. Okay, choosing not to learn. Of course, we would know that they're choosing not to learn far earlier than when it actually materializes and happens. But choosing not to learn in our classroom is the evil of all evils, and it leads to very, very serious interventions. So picture the scene: students with complete ownership taking part in this classroom, which we anticipate being something like 6 out of 10 lessons structured this way, the stock lesson, in other words. Picture the scene. Every single task they do, they're working towards mastery, every single student. Every single student meeting a minimum standard of mastery on each topic, completely owned by the student, completely self-determined by the student. Vast majority of data flows from zone 1, 2 and 3 to the teacher, not by the teacher. And as a result, students make far, far greater development in depth, understanding and intuition of knowledge, skills and behaviours. We cannot endorse this classroom model enough. You need to go and read about it more. Go and click on our publication, which again I'll put on a little card here. Go and have a look at it. You need to read it. You need to have an awareness of what this classroom is all about. Contact us if you've got questions. We've got a really nice email you can get us on. It's called classroom at the EverLearner.com, and we will engage in a conversation with you immediately about this conversation because it's fascinating, it makes a difference, and we wholeheartedly endorse it. Have a good day.